Today I want to have a look at how I've made the background for this card and how I've foiled this butterfly. Now I'm going to bring this in really close and zoom the camera because there's actually two different colours of foil on this. So I've foiled it in black and red, so this kind of distressed look, but without having bits of foil missing. Okay, so it looks like I've used a special effects foil that's got two colours on it. But actually I've foiled it twice. And I thought you'd like to know how to do that. So I've done a few versions of this card. So this one, the background is stamped. Let me make sure the camera's focused. There we are. This one, the background is stamped on one of the 12 by 12 papers from the Steampunk Dreams collection. Okay, so I've done that one on that lovely wood grain paper. And then this one I've just done on some white card, and I've used some inks that kind of have a distressed effect to them. So I've used two different colours, a lighter blue and a darker blue, and stamped several times. And I've used a stamp press for this, you know, a hinge stamp press, so that I can actually ink multiple times and stamp again. And the way I've got my stamps laid out, I stamp one half of the designs, and then I rotate the card and get the second set. So it's not lots and lots of individual stamps. So you could do lots of backgrounds quite quickly with this. And I've still got the stamps on my stamp press. This is the complete set. Let me just take them out of this packet so we get slightly less reflections. And it's quite a bit of colour. Oh, that'll make it easier to see them. So this is the Steampunk Dreams Sentiment collection, and I've used most of them in my background design. And then if I just grab my stamp platform, now it doesn't matter particularly which make of stamp platform you've got, as long as you are going to be able to repeat stamp. So I've got my stamps on here, and you probably can't see them very well until I ink them, and they're laid out to stamp onto a piece of card that's 14.8 centimetres square. So it's cut down from a piece of A5 card into a square. Okay, and then I've got all my stamps on my lid. Let's detach my lid for a moment. So there we are. I've got my stamps laid out on there, and it took a few trial runs to get the positioning worked out. So you'll definitely want to perhaps do some experiments on some plain card. I'll show you some more of mine. That's done with a dye-based ink. So that's a nice solid dark blue one. And then I've done some black on some craft card. And I've used some distress ink. That's the vintage photo on craft card. That was one of my earlier trials, and I moved some of the stamps and removed a few after that, so it wasn't quite so messy. And I did one in two colours, so it can be obvious I've done black ones together and then the pink ones after rotating my card. So let me just show you how that's done. And I will give you a nice picture of how the stamps are laid out on my blog post. So if you look down in the video description, there will be a link to a blog post. And in that blog post, there will be a nice picture for you to see how the stamps are laid out. So I've got my stamp press, I've got my card held down with my magnets. I've got some nice black archival ink I'm using here because it shows up well. But obviously if you can do multiple colours, and you can overstamp and whatever you want. So now you can see I've got my stamps kind of in two corners. And I can stamp that section. And it's not quite stamped everywhere, so I'm going to go again. There's a big area to be getting to stamp all at once. good push. I say, you'll want to ink and stamp several times, I'm sure. So then I just pick up my piece of card. So at the moment it's like that. I'm going to turn it through 90 degrees. Now, does it matter which way I turn it? There's a thought. No, I think, well, I've gone 90 degrees clockwise. Okay, so it was like that. And then I'm turning it round like that. You might want to make sure in your layout you don't end up with things upside down unless you really want them upside down. I've got them so that they're kind of the right way up or turned vertically. So the Couture Creations, they do a stamp press, and it's got a really cool design where it's kind of hinged, but it's got sprung magnets, so you can press down. You can press down really well, whereas this has got a fixed hinge, and you know, you end up having to really quite work hard sometimes. So I've just got a bit here that's a bit messy. I'm just going to go one more time. So this isn't the Couture Creations stamp platform. This is from a different manufacturer. It's the one I have. I haven't managed to get hold of the Couture Creations one yet. As I say, it does look like a really neat design. There we are, that'll do. Some of these stamps kind of have a distressed kind of look to them anyway. Try and get my M, that's it. And that one, oh, that's the other one. Okay, so you get the idea. So there you end up with your background, whichever colour combination you want. Okay. So I'm just going to leave that in there and tidy that up later. So I've got a number of backgrounds made, and I've got a few different kind of versions. So I've got this one, as I say, that's a nice crisp blue, but some slight variations in the background in the blues, and then a foiled butterfly. And this butterfly again is from the Steampunk Dreams collection. Normal butterfly on one side, and this great cogs design, mechanical design on the other. And then I've done this one using the backing paper and this butterfly, and I need a butterfly to go on that one. Okay, and this one was done with some pigment inks, various shades of sort of beiges and some more sort of warm rust red colours. They've kind of blended together, but there's a slight variation in the colour scheme. So this is on been matted onto some really deep red card, sort of a nice claret colour. I've got a piece of that here, guys. It's that lovely colour, and that's just from my stash. I thought just went with those colour tones. Okay, so let's have a look at how we do this two-tone butterfly. So I'm going to be doing a red butterfly for this card. And I've got some card here to foil onto. And as this is a different colour scheme, I thought I'd use these two foils for this one. I used red and black for the one that was on grey. And this one I'm using chocolate copper, which is this colour. It's like a tarnished sort of copper colour. and this one is golden cream. Just sort of a really pale gold. Driftwood is a very similar colour. So I've got that. I've also got a piece of craft card cut to the same size. I've got my conversion plate on my Go Press and Foil, and it's just turned itself off while it's been waiting for me. But that's the thick metal plate. Let me just pick it up to the camera. So the thick metal plate, not a thin metal shim. There we are. And it actually says on it, if I turn it the right way up, it says on it, Go Press and Foil conversion plate. So let me put that back down there. So it is hot. I'm going to put that back on the base and turn my Go Press and Foil back on while I'm getting my card and my foil ready. Okay, so this is the Cut and Create die we're going to be using. It's got these raised flat areas. So you can, if you want to, emboss these and then use gilding waxes and inks and stuff to highlight the detail. Or you can ink them and then cut with them, and you'll get ink transferred where the raised areas are. But today I'm foiling. So first of all, I want my piece of card. I'm trying to think which way to do this, and I think I'm going to foil in the light colour and then the darker one. I might end up foiling it 3 times. I did on the red and black one, so I covered up too much of my black. So let's cut some foil. Now the butterfly die is 12 centimetres wide, the same as my foil. So it'll just fit. So I'm just going to mark that. And I find the best thing for cutting foil is a large pair of sharp scissors. It really does make a big difference if it's a large pair of scissors. It makes it much easier to cut your foil straight. Try rolling it up straight. Okay, I'm just going to trim the bottom corners of this, and it's just so that I make it easier to tape the die down. Okay, I'm just going to take that bottom edge off the foil as well. Okay, I've got some pieces of tape already cut, so I'm going to tape that down, those edges. I'm going to tape at the bottom as well. So that is taped in place. So I've got my die with the pattern down, and I've got my foil with the coloured side of the foil up against the die. So if I was doing normal foiling, I'd be making my sandwich that way up, and in which case my foil would be pretty side down. Okay, so but that's how I put it together to put it onto my Go Press and Foil. I'm also going to add a piece of craft card. Now it doesn't have to be craft card. I've got lots of craft card, and that's because I bought a huge stack of it because it was a really good price per sheet, but I hadn't seen how big the stack was. So I've got a huge stack of craft card. So whatever spare card you've got, and this has 2 purposes. It pushes your card right into that die, and that helps get good foiling. But also for this, I need it for the next stage because it helps me get everything lined back up and to keep it in place. Okay, so that's going on to my Go Crescent and foil. Let me just turn the camera a little bit so you can see what I'm doing. Oops, there we are. So there's my Go Crescent foil sitting there. The red light's just come back on again. So I'm going to put that onto the hot plate there, nicely in the middle. Close my lid, and that needs some time to get really well warmed up. Okay, so I'm going to leave that probably for at least a minute to make sure the dye's got thoroughly hot, and then I'm going to roll it through my die cutting machine. Okay, so just bear with me a minute. Okay, so that's been through my die cutting machine. So let's get our hot foiling. Oops, haven't done the camera far enough back. There we are. Let's slide this off. I can use my pick and lift. There we are. Because that metal plate is quite hot. I'm putting that back on the base unit so that it stays nice and hot, and then I can take that off. Now don't throw it away, it hasn't cut through completely, just in one or two spots, but I want that for the next bit. So that was my kind of shim, and then my butterfly will just come out of there. I might have some overfoiling on it, I don't know yet. Let's have a look. Now, if you have trouble peeling up the edges, these are not too bad, but if you take a piece of your low tack tape and just put it near an edge, that will grip your foil and pull it back. Now that foiling isn't as good as I wanted, so I'm actually going to put that back on and heat it again and see if I can get some better foiling with that. So I'm going to carefully get my die. Get the foil out of the way. Tape out of the way as well. Now I'm going to put it back in the die. Like that. And then if I line it up with this one as well, then I can tape down to this one and it'll hold everything in place for me. There we are. Put the tape there. The pieces that side. So I'm going to heat that again and roll it through. So I'll show you when I've done that. Okay, let's see how it's done this time. I'm just going to pick it up with my pick and lift. Put a piece of tape on my plate. I'll have to clean that in a minute. Okay, so let's see what we've got this time. So I've still got my shim. It's the same one I've used now twice. Be careful that this might be a bit warm. Okay, let's just get a piece of tape and use it to help peel my foil off. That's better. So there. So that is my first colour foiling. Okay, so while I was waiting for my Go Crescent foil to warm up, I'm trying to be more patient than I was last time. I started cutting my second piece of foil. So I need to cut this to fairly close to the shape of the butterfly. Okay, so you might want to draw around it. In fact, that's quite a good idea. I can just draw around with a pencil. I'm not going to go right to the edge. I'm just going to kind of go maybe 1/4 of an inch from the edge. I'm just using a pencil so that I can cut my full shape out, and that will help me when I'm trying to get it to sit in the right place with the die again. Oops. Okay, and then I'm not going to use my great big scissors. I'm going to use some smaller ones. Do make sure they're not sticky though. I've got loads of sticky. Let's use my other pair. So roughly on my line. Now what I'm going to be wanting to do with this foil is to distress it, because I want some of this colour, I want bits of the lighter shade to show through as well. Now that's close enough. Okay, so there's my nice pristine piece of foil. Just going to move the camera back around a bit. There we are. So my nice pristine piece of foil. And now I'm going to screw it up. Open it up. And there's some bits that are really distressed, others aren't. So I'm going to screw it up again. Okay, and now, I don't know if you can see through it, but there's quite a lot of areas missing there now. Okay, it's quite distressed. And then just to really make sure, you see how places like this corner where it's hardly gone at all, I'll check. And there might be places where you want to make sure you've got lots of the light bits showing through. So what you can do is you can take a piece of your masking tape and you can just dab it on in places and remove some larger bits of foil when it stops sticking. Get another piece of tape. So you've got some holes in your distressing, so you can get some larger areas, the light foil coming through that. If you kind of hold it up to the light, we'll be able to see where you've put those areas. Okay, so I'm going to go with that and see how we get on. Okay, so now this is going to need to go over that, and then I'm going to need my die, all of it to sit inside the die, and then I'm going to have to keep it in place while I foil, so I can feel when my die locks in. I'm just going to make sure, I'm just making sure the waste came out of the die where the antennae are. Okay, and this is where my shim that I kept comes in, because it's still just about attached to this piece of card. So what I want to do is put my die cut back in. Sure I've got this the right way around. Yeah, that way up. So do make sure you're using it the right way around. So that will fit back in, and I can put my foil on top, and then I should also be able to get the die to slot back in as well. you'll need to move it about and feel when it locks in. And when it locks in, tape it down within an inch of its life. So quite a few bits of tape. I'm going to have to get some more because I've used some of those to take some of the foil off. Get some more tape. Okay, because I really don't want my die cut that's sandwiched in the middle to be able to move out of place. So now that goes back on the go press and heats up as normal, and try and be patient so it heats for long enough. Let's put that back on there, close the lid and leave it to warm up, and try to be patient. So I'll be back with you when it's heated and I've rolled it. Okay, let's see what we've got now. I've got a horrible feeling things have moved, so this might not have worked at all. But we'll see. It might only be the shim that's moved, and that wouldn't be a problem. So that's my shim. Oh yeah, it did move, I think. Maybe not. Okay, let's get it over here. No, it did move a bit. So this could be interesting. So I can see I've got bits of card here that have been chopped off. So let's see what's happened. It's quite pretty though. Oh, it's kind of got a drop shadow on it. That's not quite what I was going for, but I do like it. But you get the idea. So yeah, let me zoom the camera in. So it's kind of twisted on one side. So on one side I've got more of a two-tone falling in that way, and this side was more what I was going for. Cool. Okay, so that's how to do it. I shall try again, because it worked great the first time I did it on the other card. Okay, so that was going to be the end of the video, but I decided to have another go. So this time I'm really careful to make sure it was lined up and taped down correctly. And I can see I haven't got any extra cut lines here now, so I'm quite hopeful. Let's take that off. Okay, so that's my shim lifted away. And that's come out the die. So yeah, I haven't got any extra cuts, so that's good. So I'm going to peel this forward. So this is how it looks when it comes out. Okay, and my shim hasn't got any extra cut lines on it. So I'm quite hopeful that I had everything in the right place and well enough taped down this time. So take a corner. Oh, yeah. And I distressed my foil even more than I did last time. There. So from what's left, you can see, let me zoom the camera in. So from the areas that don't foil on this, you can see how very distressed I had my foil before I put it back on. Okay, and then there is the foiling on my butterfly. I like that. So let me finish this card off, because that's the other thing I forgot that I was going to show you, is just how I get the butterfly's wings to stay nice and high. So move that out of the way. Let's bring my card base back. Okay, so this butterfly is going on. Zoom the camera back to normal. It's going on this one. So I don't need a sentiment because I've got lots of those. Okay, now I'm going to get, now you could use a a pen. I'm using my Zig two-way glue because it's got a nice thick barrel on it. I'm just going to roll that around there, and then I'm going to roll the other edge of the wings the other way. Now if you've got any overfoiling, that's the point, if you've got any overfoiling and there's some bits on the tips, you might want to just rub those away before you start trying to do your shaping. Use that end. There we are, just on the tips of the wings, because I like to have a nice defined line around my foiling. But that is really all the overfoiling there is, just on the wing tips. There. Okay, so round the glue pen that way, and then round the glue pen kind of the other way. Okay, and then that can go in the middle, but I want it to kind of the wings stay up and for it to be stable. So I've got here, and these are the Couture Creations ones, I've got some sticky foam pads. And these are nice thick ones. So what I'm going to do, get these out, is I'm going to put them not on the bottom but just to the side. That helps keep the wings up and help it to be kind of stable on the card. Might need two each side. I'm going to go one there. One there, and then the other side as well. Now, and I'm not going to take the backing off of these. Okay, I'm just going to let them support the wings so that the butterfly can sit stable with its wings up. So to glue him down, and you can use some, I find something like a 3D glue gel works best with this sort of thing. But whatever glues you normally use. I like this for anything with sort of dimension that needs to have a really strong hold. So I'm going to position this just in the middle. I've got my card the right way up. That's it, and the foam pads mean that my butterfly doesn't fall to one side or the other while the glue is drying. Okay, so that really is the end. Okay, thank you for watching.